My name's Andrew Gillum. I serve as the mayor of the city of Tallahassee. And we're joined here by a number of our colleagues, other elected officials, as well as our first responder community and the director of emergency operations here for Leon County. The purpose of today's press conference is to bring you to speed on what our local efforts are in preparation for Hurricane Irma. We want to begin, obviously, by sending our continued prayers and thoughts to those in Texas, our brothers and sisters who are still dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, and for those who are right now in the direct path line of Hurricane Irma. We also extend our prayers and obviously our deepest best wishes to them. As many of you all know, earlier today, Hurricane Irma was upgraded to a Category 5 storm. With sustained winds of 180 miles per hour, which makes Irma one of the most powerful storms in recorded history. The dangers of this storm are real, and you need to take preparation, which is really the purpose for today's press conference. This announcement is not intended to create panic amongst anyone, but rather to create a sense of urgency. Almost a year to the day this community dealt with our first storm in over 3 decades. And that storm was a Category 1, and we understood the kind of impact that it had all across this region. We want to make sure that folks are taking the proper precautions as we await the final storm path of this particular hurricane. The city of Tallahassee has already begun to take precautions as we learn more about the potential path of this storm. We just finished a briefing, at least on the city's behalf, and I know the county and the city have been in constant contact up to this point, and continued coordination will happen going forward. We have also had communication with our Joint Services Agreement partners about the potential support that we may need in preparation for this storm. In fact, our utilities partners have already made contact and begun to organize anywhere between 600 and 800 assets, individuals, people, to assist with power restoration. But because the path of this storm is not yet known, we're fully anticipating that we're not going to be able to rely as heavily on as our Florida-based resources and partners as we once did in the previous storm, which means that we're relying on partners outside of the state of Florida. It is really important that we as a community do our very, very best to take care of each other. We as neighbors and as citizens are our best and, frankly, our first responders in a storm like this. Should the city of Tallahassee and Leon County be directly impacted or in any way included in the pathway, the storm cone, we know that the impact on this community could be substantial. If you have elderly or vulnerable neighbors, reach out to them and see if you are able to assist them in getting prepared. We are already in the process of cataloging our vulnerable communities. We began that process, frankly, in the aftermath of Hurricane Hermine. We're aware of our senior center, our senior citizens' homes. We are aware of various vulnerable populations, but we need our neighbors and neighborhood leaders to begin the process of taking stock of the most vulnerable in your community. Tomorrow morning, the city of Tallahassee, Leon County, and the Council of Neighborhood Associations will meet, have called a meeting with all of our neighborhood representatives from throughout Leon County so that we can give very clear instruction to those individuals. Throughout the rest of the week, various meetings will be called with additional partners to make sure we're all on the same accord and are clearly aware of the needs that each of us have. If you have any questions or issues, please reach out to the city or county officials, including on social media and our respective websites. The City of Tallahassee website has already become front-facing, oriented toward the storm. I believe the same has happened with Leon County, and you'll hear more from that from our county chairman. City and county officials will continue to update you as more information and specifics become available. Please, please, please do not wait until the last minute to have a plan. We believe that both the city and the county will have our sand locations open and beginning functioning tomorrow at 10 a.m. We will make additional announcements, quite frankly, around those respective destinations where you can pick sand up Again, we want to encourage you not to wait until the last minute in order to get your plan together and then stock your home. With that, I'd like to first acknowledge my colleague, Commissioner Scott Maddox, who is here from the city, as well as representatives of all of the offices of the City Commission that we have present. I want to acknowledge and recognize the city manager and all of the assistant city managers and support staff with the City of Tallahassee, who are all present, and we will make ourselves available for any questions at the conclusion of the formal remarks. Now I'd like to bring forward the County Commission Chairman, Commissioner and Chairman John Daly.
Thanks, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Scott. Good afternoon. I too share the mayor's sentiments and thoughts for the people in Texas that have just been dealing with the storm and those that are going to be impacted by this storm as well. We should continue to think and pray for them and their families as well. My name is John Daly. I am the chairman of the Leon County Commission. And just a few moments ago, I just issued a local state of emergency for Leon County. Now, what exactly does that mean? That allows that our governments locally can be more nimble in preparation for the storm to come. We still have more information that we need to know about the path of the storm, but it's important for us to plan accordingly and to be prepared. If there's one thing that we learned after the storm last year is that preparation and communication is key. The mayor and I and our colleagues are 100% committed, not only working together with our professional staff and the men and women of the city of Tallahassee and Leon County, but to work with everyone within the county to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information in the most up-to-date manner that you possibly can so that we can all be prepared for what could or might not come to Tallahassee Leon County. Here in the room, as the mayor has already mentioned, is we have representatives from both the city and the county, all the top brass. We are prepared. We have been working together. As the mayor mentioned, he met with his team earlier today. I've had the opportunity to meet with the county, and our teams are working together hand in hand. We're also working hand in hand with the state government to make sure that we are all completely prepared. The mayor is absolutely correct. The two things that we need to concentrate on right now is, number one, as a community, being prepared, and as a government, communicating with the citizens. And the mayor is correct. We have stepped up our efforts in communication, both with the city of Tallahassee and with Leon County, to make sure that we provide the most up-to-date information that we possibly can to the citizens of Leon County and the city of Tallahassee. From the county side, I want to bring your attention to the Leon County app. On the front page of the app, there is a button for emergency information. You can find anything and everything you could possibly imagine in regards to services that are being provided by Leon County in connections with the city of Tallahassee, whether we are also carrying the utility information as well, which we certainly appreciate the city working with us, but it's really important, and I would encourage you to proactively go, if you do not have the city or the county app, to download that on your phone. If you do not have access to your phone, then of course you can go on a desktop computer or a laptop computer to the Leon County website, emergency portal, and all the information will be there as well. We will provide the most up-to-date information. If anything, consider this. It's like having your own seat in the Emergency Operations Center. You will know the information as we can bring it in, process it, and put it up. On top of that, the mayor is absolutely correct. We need a plan. It is time for each and every citizen of Leon County and the city of Tallahassee and Leon County to go out and prepare for the storm that could possibly come and hit us in the Big Bend. Go ahead and make sure that your family is prepared. Check on your neighbors. Work with your neighborhood association. Work through KONA. Let's make sure that we are all prepared so if this storm does come through our community, we are ready to face it together as a community. We are committed to sharing the information in the most timely manner we can. Again, I encourage you to download the Leon County app. We're on the front page. We have our emergency information that will be available in real time. And at the same time, I know the city is providing that information as well. I too will be available for any questions that we might have at the end of this press conference. And I also look forward to introducing who will speak after the sheriff, Kevin Peters. When we establish the Emergency Operations Center, and in particular when there is a local state of emergency that allows us to prepare, Kevin Peters, as director of the Emergency Operations Center, is the one that will be calling the shots day to day, minute to minute, and coordinating with both the city and all the county resources that we have as well until the event comes by. Kevin will speak after the sheriff, but at this time I want to recognize Sheriff Walt McNeil for a few comments as well. Sheriff?
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and Chairman Daly. Obviously, we are faced with what some are saying perhaps the largest hurricane, 175 miles an hour winds that this state has faced since done, I believe. And I am equally proud here this afternoon to say to you that from what I can tell in terms of our preparation, city and county are all working together in terms of trying to make sure we do everything we can to keep the citizens of this great community safe. I think we've learned a great deal in terms of the level of cooperation that's required to make sure that all of our assets are used in the appropriate way in terms of making sure that every detail of how we make sure and assure that the citizens have the things that they need to keep themselves safe is taking place. I am buoyed up by the fact that just this past weekend, a holiday weekend, I had the opportunity, and my deputies had the opportunity to drive around this community, and we saw citizens doing exactly what we asked you to do several months ago, and is a start to preparation. Water is being purchased. Generators are being purchased by the citizens of this community. It's time now to make those preparations. Those of you in our community that have not done that, we encourage you to do it right now. Get prepared. The fact of the matter is we don't know exactly where this hurricane is going to go. But the most important thing we can do is not take it for granted and do everything we can to be prepared. Now, as it relates to law enforcement, I can tell you that law enforcement partners across this county, the Tallahassee Police Department, Leon County Sheriff's Office, FSU, FAMU, we're all working cooperatively to make sure that, one, that we have plans as it relates to road clearing and making sure that those areas that we know that flood, that we're making preparations, working with our fire service and emergency management organizations, what Kevin will talk about here in just a few minutes, that we understand where those locations are, and we're trying to do the preemptive strikes in terms of getting information out to citizens about those flooding areas so that you're forewarned in the event we have some water issues that take place. Also, you should know that I was on the phone this morning, our staff was, talking to the governor of this state about law enforcement preparation. And we have plans not only as relates to wherever the storm comes onto the state of Florida, the law enforcement assets all across this state are prepared to respond and assist other law enforcement agencies. And that's essential for you to know about Tallahassee Leon County. In the event we have issues or problems here in terms of law enforcement, you can count on the state, those sheriff's offices, law enforcement agencies outside of Tallahassee Leon County responding to our community, just as we will in the event it strikes somewhere in the South Florida area. So, again, let me encourage you to, the most important thing we can say to you today during this press conference is the importance of being prepared, taking those steps now, not waiting until Saturday, nor Friday, but taking those steps today to prepare yourselves and prepare your families. Have a plan. Utilize that plan. And to further that discussion, I suspect, let me bring on board Kevin Peters, the Leon County Emergency Manager.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Peters. I'm the Emergency Management Director for Leon County. Make some comments on some of the preparedness activities we've been taking through the Emergency Operations Center. Beginning yesterday, Monday morning, we participated in conference calls with the state of Florida's Emergency Operations Center. We, along with the other 66 counties in the state, begun the coordination process with the state EOC, so we ensure we have the accurate information on the hurricane status from the National Hurricane Center, and sharing of resources and issues that may come up can be coordinated. We also began planning with our partners at the Red Cross for identifying shelter staff and locations for potential shelters for two scenarios: if the storm does strike the Tallahassee Leon County area, or if we have to serve as a host area for South Florida if they take the direct strike. This morning we initiated our conference call processes with our city and county stakeholders to ensure that locally all of the agencies that serve our citizens are coordinated, we're on the same page, and we have the most recent and current information so we can make the best decisions for response. We also this afternoon started conference calls with our human services stakeholders through our community organizations active in disaster. These are the organizations that are going to step forward and help fulfill a lot of those human services needs following any disaster. As you heard earlier, our sandbag sites, the planning for availability of sand and sandbags, that started throughout the day this morning. And our agencies are reviewing their plans, checking their equipment, and gathering appropriate supplies and staying informed of storm conditions on our conference calls. We're also determining our needs for mutual aid. These activities that we are taking as Leon County and City of Tallahassee government are the same steps we would encourage citizens to take. Review your family's safety plan. Know what you're going to do if our area is impacted by the storm. Have a disaster supply kit. Gather additional supplies. We have the time. Now is the time to gather those supplies. And stay informed as conditions will change through the week. Again, the long-range forecast is highly uncertain. We can't say for sure where the storm will make ultimate landfall in Florida. Leon County provides a host of ways to stay informed. We have our emergency information portal that's available on the Leon County website. We have the Leon County Citizens Connect app where you can get up to the minute weather notifications and other emergency notifications. The app is available through the Apple iStore as well as Google Play. And you can follow both the county and city on our social media sites at Twitter and Facebook. And one of the lessons learned from Hermine was better coordination with our FM radio partners. You can stay informed following our storms with routine updates on 88.9 WFSU radio on FM. Again, this is still a long-term situation, a very uncertain landfall point. Now is the time to prepare, gather your supplies, and get ready. With that, I'd like to turn it over to one of our key partners, the Capital Area Chapter American Red Cross, and Sharon Tyler.
Good afternoon. They left this the shortest one at the end, huh? Well, as I spoke to some media last week about Harvey, one of my comments was that the only thing that could affect me personally worse about Harvey is if it were to have hit here in Tallahassee. I'm kind of wishing I hadn't said something like that now. But Beaumont and Orange, which you've all been watching on TV the last week, those were my chapters before I moved back here to Tallahassee. So very near and dear to my heart, and I echo what everyone said. Please continue to keep all the folks in Texas and Louisiana in your thoughts and prayers, because once the water recedes is when the real devastation is made more apparent, and when these folks out there are really having to face reality of what they're dealing with. As for Hurricane Irma, again, echo what the folks before me have said. We encourage you to not be scared, but to be prepared. We've got an app as well. It's a free Red Cross emergency app that we encourage everyone to download. It not only gives you all the up-to-date information on the storm itself, but it also shows you across the country where every open shelter is. And that's critical and vital information that you might need. It tells you what to do before, during, and after a hurricane, as well as a host of other types of disasters. So we really encourage you to download that app. It's free, and it's literally help at your fingertips, so we encourage that. For Harvey, we've got over 3,000 volunteers on the ground there and are continuing to deploy people. We actually stopped out of Florida deploying last week because when Irma became apparent, and plus we were dealing with Central Florida flooding, and so we stopped deploying our assets, both human and material, out there. We have begun recalling our volunteers, our key leadership volunteers, here to back to Florida so that they can help us with Hurricane Irma, no matter where she decides to go. She will have an impact on Florida and on us here in the Big Bend area, no matter where she goes, because we, with Red Cross, will be sending volunteers to help staff shelters as well. We really encourage everyone. Our greatest needs right now are volunteers. Fires still happen, all the other disasters still happen, so we need volunteers en masse. We're having training the rest of this week here in the capital area. We're having 3 trainings a day starting Wednesday, tomorrow. So at 9 o'clock, at 12, and at 5:30, we will have just-in-time training, and that will be for shelter workers. Shelters are going to be critical, and as Kevin said, whether they're host shelters or evacuation shelters, we're going to be opening shelters in our area. We're also going to be serving as a staging area. We've got 100 of our emergency response vehicles that will be coming into the Tallahassee area. So we'll stage them here, and then until we see where Irma's going, and that way then we'll be able to deploy them out to wherever the greatest need is. And if it's here, obviously they'll stay here. Along with those, there'll be 200 workers that we will be hosting as well and they'll start arriving tomorrow. We do, as the Capitol, serve as the headquarters for this disaster until the disaster hits, and if possible, then the headquarters would move closer to home. So it's going to be busy over next door, and we're really going to need additional volunteers. So we encourage people to go to redcross.org and sign up to become a volunteer. We've got many partners that actually, if you work there at the city, and I'm thinking the county, do we have the partnership with the county as well? With the county and with the state and with some of our other local businesses, that if you are already a trained Red Cross person, then you can have up to 3 weeks off, 15 days off to work disasters. And so we really, if you are already a part of that program, we really encourage you to please get in touch with us. We will have a portal open that you'll be able to register on. And once I get that information, I'll shoot it out to our county and city partners and state partners, and you'll be made aware of that. There's also online training if you're already a Red Cross volunteer that we encourage you to go update your shelter fundamentals on, so that you know that'll be our biggest need in the very beginning. And then after that, we'll transition to damage assessment. Lots more important details going on. We are currently working in the state EOC. When is this EOC stood up yet? Okay, once this one stands up, we'll also be here. And we were in those EOCs to help coordinate the mass care component of a disaster, to make sure that the feeding and sheltering and all those needs are being met. We're right next door. Please come in, volunteer. Financial donations are critical at this point. We have raised millions and millions of dollars for Harvey, which is fabulous, and we still encourage people to give to that. But now I'm going to be shifting it and say, please help us here at home, because our need is great. And thank you so much for all of our partners. Be confident in your local government. We've got the best that are doing their best to make sure that you all stay safe. Thank you.